Welcome to this week's episode of Humans in 5.
Today we're touching on a topic so obvious, it caught us off guard to realize we'd never covered it before. Today we're here to talk about feminism.
Pretty much everyone is familiar with feminism, but just so we're all on the same page, let's lay down some core definitions. Feminism refers to the social, political, and economic equality of the genders. Sometimes, because of the name, people assume that feminism is all about females, but really, it's about the equal consideration of everyone.
This emphasis on equality comes from the fact that across history, most social structures have prioritized the voices and rights of men. Women were often considered unworthy of consideration in most social, political, and economic spheres of influence. For example, it's worth bearing in mind that for women historically, and in some cases contemporarily, would not be able to independently own property, work outside of the home, or even make simple decisions about their own bodies.
So, over time, women fought to advocate for their own interests. Several early writers would comment on the equality of men and women, such as Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley's piece, A Vindication of the Rights of Women. Through the persevering efforts of countless women internationally, we've made great strides in promoting the equality of women in their ability to access education, to earn a living, and to make independent decisions about their lives.
Now, we have to add the caveat that movements advocating for women's rights still have a long way to go. There are still systemic barriers affecting women's equality in terms of economics, politics, and broader social structures. We still have long strides to make in terms of women's earnings, reproductive rights, and equitable access to a range of social structures.
From our perspective as social scientists, one of the largest growth areas in terms of research and anthropology is in the application of feminist theory when looking at different structures and circumstances in our world. Feminist theory represents the application of a feminist lens as a tool to better understand the nature of gender inequality.
Feminist theory can be applied in a range of ways. For example, researchers can look at social roles ascribed to men and women and pay close attention to how they've been constructed in a given cultural context. Researchers also use feminist theory to better understand things like gender bias and stereotyping.
In more recent years, many researchers have broadened their perspectives to build on feminist theory and explore new directions. For example, Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality in the 80s. This term was initially defined to encompass those unique spheres of discrimination where, for example, a woman of color may face discrimination not strictly because of her gender or strictly because of her race. She may instead face a unique series of events because of that intersection between her two identities.
This term has since expanded to consider other possible intersections that could affect individuals' experiences out in society, including class, ability, and religion. By considering the effects of multiple potential sources of inequality, researchers can better understand how people from different walks of life experience particular facets of society.
In the 90s, women's studies also intersected with studies of and by LGBT+ communities to bring forward queer theory, which can often be applied to interrogate and deconstruct social norms regarding gender and sexuality. Queer theorists aren't always addressing sexuality per se, but look at identities, behaviors, and circumstances that stand in opposition to those that are dominant in a given context.
Researchers will often combine several of these theories depending on their research context. As these fields of feminist theory, intersectionality, and queer theory evolve, we'll be excited to see what appears in the future, and we can't wait to share it all with you.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Humans in 5.
Don't forget to subscribe!